What's going on? We're back for another one. It's official. Devin Haney versus Gary Russell is not happening. If anybody's watching my videos, you know pretty much I've been saying it from the beginning that it was not going to happen. That this was nothing but, Eddie Hearn blueprint, which pretty much you take a fighter, you attach it to a name, but at the end of the day, you end up not fighting that fighter. If you can get to the point where they're negotiating with you, it's even better. Pretty much, you send out contracts, keep things very vague, things not clear, keep a lot of things in there that are clearly going to be questioned by the other side, and you keep just doing that BS, and you end up pulling out for whatever reason, and you come up with a reason for that. When it's come to the contracts between Gary Russell Jr. and the contract between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, same type of thing, Deontay Wilder getting a contract with no date and no venue, when it was supposed to be like the final aspect of the contract, vague language in there, saying that, how, he could be, basically Anthony Joshua could fight somebody else and they could still be tied basically, into having to fight Anthony Joshua during a certain time frame. They'll be buckled down to do so. So they could have another fight, and then after that still have you, under that $12 million flat fee that they were trying to give him. With the Gary Russell, they had the contract because Bill Haney kind of basically let the contract out, and Barbershop Conversation had the contract. Same type of thing on that one. It said basically from January on, neither fighter can fight another fighter, and they can hold them, I think it was like 4 months. So when you hear Gary Russell talking about, I'm not going to be bound under anything, that's bullshit. That's one of the things. He would have been bound. Gary Russell literally could have went and fought Gamboa still on November the 6th or November the 7th, and Gary Russell would still be bound to face him. You know what I'm saying? Until like April of next year. They had a weird thing like that in there. Other weird vague stuff that Gary Russell would have to let the DAZN photography team go into his places, different places, and make videos, as far as I guess to promote the fight and meet all their needs, all their obligations, but it didn't list what those things were. It said he'd have to, go to all these different meetings and do everything that was necessary to promote the fight, or he could be fined $50,000 for each infraction. But it didn't list any of the things that was going to be that was going to be needed for him to do. Like we're going to need you to do this, and this. Whereas an itemized list, basically, where then you could say, well, you violated 3, $50,000, or you violated 4, $50,000. There was nothing there. It was just vague. It was just vague that he would have to meet all of the DAZN's requirements. Vague, but not actually listing anything. Just things like that where you're going to be asking questions, where you're going to need to get, confirmation on things. Bill Haney said that, that DAZN and Matchroom had signed off on it, but when you see on the actual contract, the only person who had a signature on it was Bill Haney. And there was no other signature whatsoever. And he actually was showing that he was kind of actually doing a deal between Bill Haney and Devin Haney Promotions, really. That's basically what the deal kind of was through. Not even necessarily through, DAZN and Eddie Hearn. They still had to agree to all of this shit. They still had to agree to all of it. So the name quote was in the contract, but the names were just on the contract, basically saying that this fight can go on if these two entities, DAZN and Matchroom, agree to it. Then it can process. Then they want you to sign this deal towards Devin Haney Promotions, yet Devin Haney Promotions can't do anything without Matchroom say so. Devin Haney Promotions doesn't have any direct deal with DAZN that we found out. Actually, Devin Haney does not have a deal with DAZN at all. Matchroom has a deal with DAZN, and Devin Haney has a promotional contract as a fighter with Matchroom. So now you got additional entities that would have to say okay for things for certain things, for certain things to happen. It's all types of efforty, then obviously, and there was no date, he was supposed to be, let him know within, I guess, a 6-week period. But, previous to that, though, there was no actual date on when this, would happen. There was no actual venue on there, which are two things that might be, that are going to be obviously very clearly. There was nothing even, set like where they both would have to mutually agree let's say on the date, or mutually have to agree on the venue. Because they could have this anywhere. They could have it in Devin Haney's backyard. They could do it Eddie Hearn and be like, you know what, we're going to have it in Devin Haney's backyard. We're going to put a ring over there. They can have this anywhere, very vague. And this is for, this is the billion-dollar companies, right? We got millions. Yet part of the deal was they were going to give Devin Haney 5 tickets, as far as for his team and the people that he needs, to come with him on coach. Not business class, not first class, coach. Reality of the situation is they had no intentions of doing this fight. The biggest thing was when Carpenter put out a column, a tweet or whatever, and he said that that fight happening pretty much is contingent on Gamboa. That Gamboa holds all the cards in that situation. And I'm like, how can Gamboa hold all the cards? The only way Gamboa could hold all the cards is if he already had a signed contract to fight Devin Haney, where he would have to step aside. That's the only way he would hold the cards, is if they had a signed contract and he would have to step aside. But, but now all of a sudden, Devin Haney's pulling out. He doesn't want to negotiate. That, this guy is capping and he's moving on and he's fighting on Gamboa on November the 7th. And that's what it is. As if it's so hard for you to get a fight. You're fiending for a fight so bad, but you're not going to go this extra step in order to make a fight happen. But you want to fight so bad and nobody wants to fight you. Does anybody honestly think it's going to be easy to negotiate with Gervonta Tank Davis? Does anybody think it's going to be easy to negotiate with Teofimo or Lomachenko or Ryan Garcia? Does anybody honestly think those will be easy negotiations? Does anybody believe that? So it's all a play, it's all a game. And like I always say, don't let the love of boxing blind you to the realities of what's going on. Like Bob Arum says, fans are like dumb rocks that you can throw in any directions. Don't be that rock that gets thrown in any directions. They're full of ish, they're full of effery. And like Bill Haney said, hey, he's learning from Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn's teaching him the game. Unfortunately, the game is teaching him is going to end up, vilifying his son where it pertains to the people that would have been supporting him. It's going to put him into a space where he's going to lose a lot of credibility and he's going to end up losing a lot of respect in the game. Now, I'm not even going to say long-term, short-term. Usually, when Eddie Hearn does these type of things within a 12 to 24-month period, everything becomes clear and things get bad for the particular fighter, as far as the United States is concerned anyway. Maybe in the UK, the fans over there don't care. They close their eyes to the things that happen. But in the United States, especially with the fan base that Devin Haney is going to need to support him, it's not going to be good. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Wish him nothing but the best still. But like I said, this fight wasn't going to happen. And turns out that's the case. But for now, it is what it is. Like, subscribe, share. I'm out.